So usually in the recent times, uh, this mentorship for the civil services is becoming a kind of trend actually. So this is useful only for the people who have completed their preparation once or twice, who have given at least one attempt, not for the novice. Because the students, the aspirants who are preparing for the first time are supposed to acquire basic knowledge. If you look at the meaning of the terms mentorship, the dictionary, personal means something that belongs to a particular person rather than everyone. And mentor is the one who is an experienced and a trusted advisor. A Google dictionary meaning is saying that an experienced and a trusted advisor is the mentor. So the advisor is not a teacher. Mentor is not a teacher. Mentorship is not about the teaching anything. It is to advise, guide, and direct the candidate in a proper manner to crack the examination requirements. So what the mentorship would be, what activity will be there in the mentorship? What are the activities in the mentorship? Mentorship is an activity which various professionals will progressively engage in supporting the next generation leaders for the good governance. So who are these next generation leaders for the good governance? The aspirants. You are going to be a person in the good governance. And you are going to be the next generation leaders for this purpose. And every administrator is a leader for the good governance. So today we are not calling the administration as merely administration. We are calling the administration as the governance. How administration is different from the governance? So administration is all about getting things done by the government, public administration. Whereas governance is all about getting things done through a networked government. What is that networked government? You are entering into the public sector as a civil service aspirant. And today the government is not merely public sector. Government is an activity of public sector, private sector, as well as this voluntary sector. All the three activities are a part of it. Voluntary sector is the agencies which are NGOs, civil society bodies. So as a civil servant in the public sector, you are supposed to be a part of the system. You are partnering with a private company as a public servant. You are partnering with a civil society body also. So you are a member of the good governance system. And as a member of the good governance system, you are going to be the leader of all these elements. And so the next generation leader prepared for the good governance process. And who should be a generalist as well as a specialist. So in the mentorship itself, we would be advising you on all these aspects, including the fields of professionalism, including the polity, governance and ethics. We take the governance and ethics as a subject together, not as a separate papers. We need to understand the colloquials of the governance and ethics aspects, because we cannot imagine the ethics paper without the knowledge of polity and governance. The fundamental technique to answer the case studies in the ethics is three things. You need to have the knowledge of constitution, knowledge of the social legislation, and the knowledge of the civil service conduct rules. Without the proper understanding and knowledge of these three, you cannot answer the ethics case studies. Even without the knowledge of these three, also you can answer the ethics case studies. But in the ethics, there are two things. General knowledge ethics and professional ethics. So this general knowledge ethics is based on your common sense. Common sense ethics is not suitable to professional ethics. Professional ethics in the civil services. Professional ethics are in the public sector, private sector, or in the civil society also. And each ethical dimension is different. And the public sector personality, like a civil servant, is supposed to have professional ethical principles. Follow the professional ethical principles. And these ethical principles professionally will be derived from your knowledge of constitution, which you derive from the polity, and your knowledge of social legislation. What is that social legislation? Social legislation stands for laws meant for the vulnerable sections in the society, or the social legislation. What are the laws meant for the vulnerable sections in the society? The children, women, any legislation for the women, legislation for the SC/ST, legislation for the minorities. If you look at the case studies given in the previous exams since 2014, the ethics paper was introduced in 2013. Since then, every case study is connected with these three only. Either it is related to constitution, it is related to the social legislation, and almost all the social legislative related case studies are connected with the women, or laws related to the protection of women, laws related to the protection of children. So what are the child related legislation? Something like a Child Labor Prohibition Act, or something related to the child rights, any other child rights, like a Right to Education Act. On those lines, the case studies are being given. Women related legislation. Women related legislations like a legislation like a Domestic Violence Act, a legislation like a prohibition of sexual harassment of women at the workplaces. So such legislations are related to the women. So all the case studies either falling into the jurisdiction of women related issues or related to the child related issues. So you need to focus, you need to have the knowledge of these things. Social legislation. The third thing that you need to be confident should be about the civil service conduct rules. There are around 25 civil service conduct rules, and your knowledge about all these 25 civil service conduct rules is compulsory, because your common sense ethics will take you in a different way. Civil service conduct rules will take you in a proper way. So what are the civil service conduct rules tell about? Civil service conduct rules tell about the do's and don'ts of a public servant, a civil servant. The civil servant is different, again a public servant is different. Civil service conduct rules are applicable only to the civil servants, and they are not necessarily applicable to all public servants. Who is a public servant? Anybody who is working in the government and drawing salary from the public exchequer. Drawing the salary from the public exchequer means what? Drawing the salary from the government funding, from the government budgeting, they include the MPs, MLAs, ministers, including the CM and the Prime Minister and the cabinet ministers, judges, police, military, and also civil service. All these 10 kind of people working in the government are the civil servants, are the public servants, among which civil servant is only one dimension. So civil servants exclusively are having a particular code of conduct. Code of conduct, what does it imply? Code means a set of rules and regulations. For what? Conduct. Conduct of a civil servant. What is the conduct? Is a behavior. How a civil servant should behave and how a civil servant should not behave is prescribed in this. Suppose one of the conduct rules says that a civil servant should not accept any gifts even at his personal functions also. If the civil servant is celebrating any personal function like his wedding or the wedding of the children, he should not accept a gift value more than 1500 rupees. If the civil servant belong to the group B or lower cadre, he cannot accept a gift value more than 750 rupees. If you belong to class A or the all India service cadre, you cannot accept any gift more than 1500 rupees. So, because even by offering the gifts also, you may be influenced. So, suppose if a case study is being given on those lines, without the proper knowledge of this particular rule, your answer would be different. Your answer would be based on the common sense. But your answer must be based on this rules and regulations also. So, three things that you should remember in answering the questions in the ethics paper, ethics case studies, that is law, constitution, and the civil service conduct rules. Therefore, you need to study both ethics and the governance together. And these will provide the foundation for even the other subjects like international relations. Even IR also should be based on the same internal policies, constitutional policies. Then you should also know about the history and culture together. You have to read the history part and the culture part together. And ancient, medieval, modern. you study these parts in the prelims. Along with that, you are also supposed to study the ancient, medieval and modern culture part. And after that, you need to know about the world history, national movement. All these aspects will become a part of it. Then economy, science and technology. Then science and technology, economy, then social issues, geography and environment. Again, these areas are interlinked again. You need to understand the interlinkage between across all these subjects. Science and technology, environment and ethics also interconnected, because there is something called environmental ethics. And you are also supposed to understand the linkage between the economics and the environment, because economics is associated with the development. Development is having its implication to the environment. So those linkages are important to answer certain questions. And again, you are also supposed to understand the linkage between the governance, ethics, then the economics, environment and internal security. How internal security is connected with all these things? Because in governance, you have a topic on the development process and development industry. And in economics, you also, again, you study about the development. Then ethics, there is an environmental ethics. And in the environment, you are supposed to know about the environmental policies. And when these policies are not properly executed, there will be internal security problems in the form of left-wing extremism. Left-wing extremism means the Naxalism. So why the Naxalism is connected to the environment, why the Naxalism is connected to the economy, how it is related to the developmental process and development industry. So there is an interlinkage across all the subjects. And you need to understand that interlinkage among all the subjects of those lines, including the social issues and social policy. So what is this social issue and social policy? When there is a social issue, there will be a social policy. Suppose in the 2023 paper, there was a question about live-in relationships. How the family system is changing over a period of time. How the marriage system is changing over a period of time. That should be better understood through the social issues, contemporary social issues in the Indian society. And accordingly, the government will frame a policy for that. A few years ago, before 2017, for example, if you look at the Indian society before 2017, third gender persons are viewed as jovial persons. The third gender persons are not taken very seriously. People used to crack jokes at them. People used to exclude this community away from the society. But after the 2017 the judicial opinion on this community, the nature of the policy of the government is also changed, including providing a 2% reservation to the LGBT community. More inclusive governance has been started with the new judgments. Once upon a time, the people belonging to this community in the society were ridiculed. Ridiculing means laughing at them. People used to laugh at them. But today that is not the case. People started respecting this community. In just a span of 6 years, we can change in the tendency of the society. The state will decide how you have to behave with other people. State is deciding either with the law or with the policy or with the supreme judicial pronouncements. These three are deciding how the society has to be, how the ethical norms have to be. Right. So because in the section 377 of the Indian Penal Code that was enacted in 1860, it is saying that any practice unnatural sexual interaction, unnatural sexual intercourse, any practice of unnatural sexual intercourse will attract an imprisonment of up to 10 years. Meaning lesbianism is prohibited. Meaning gay sexual relationships are prohibited. And therefore, to avoid this possibility of imposing the imprisonment, though it's a natural process, today we are talking that this is a natural process. Before 2017, that was not the case. So what the parents were doing is to avoid this possibility of any possibility of imposing the punishment, imprisonment. The parents used to start ridiculing the children if they are behaving in a different manner. A manner in which the boy or a girl is naturally supposed to be behaving. So because that was declared as an unnatural sexual interaction. But 2017 judgment of the Supreme Court has changed the entire attitude of the society. Gradually, over a period of time, the policies are made, government legislation is enacted, and because of which they are given a special 2% reservation in the public posts. And hence the LGBT attitude, the societal attitude towards the LGBT community is completely changed now, or at least in the process of change. So all this indicating that we are supposed to understand the issues, particularly when you are a repeater. You are supposed to understand the issues in a different approach, a different manner in which you are required to interlink the things from across the subjects. To answer the questions in the social issues also, you need the support of polity. To answer the questions in the environment, you need to have the support of the governance. To answer the questions in the ethics, you are supposed to take the support of the environment. This interlinkage is important. So, the individual professional faculty, they will be teaching the subject in their perspective. Whereas the mentor has to try to find out the linkage between across these subjects. So, if you look at the questions given by the UPSC, particularly from the last 4 years, they have become highly dynamic in character. The dynamic nature of the examination is proved in the form of elimination of the elimination technique in the prelims. Even the mains exam also, the questions are being given in a two levels. And one has to be ready with this 2-level war. One level is the static subject. Another level is the linking the static subject with the contemporary aspects. The static subject you learn in the preliminary examination level, and contemporary developments you have to link over a period of time in your process of preparation. One thing is sure, that you cannot crack the civil services unless you make at least 2 years of preparation. Minimum you have to make 2 years of preparation to crack it. And what about those candidates who say that I have cracked it in the first attempt? The candidate who has cracked the civil service exam in the first attempt was preparing for 4 years. And his attempt was the first attempt, that's all. Suppose we have this integrated campus in Shamshabad. In the integrated campus in Shamshabad, we train the candidates for 5 years. Right from the intermediate level, followed by the graduation. So for 5-year period, this candidate is preparing for the civil service exam and taking 1 more year for additional preparation. He is putting in almost 6 years of preparation, and he will be in a position to crack it in the first attempt after that. So before giving the first attempt, his preparation is for 5 to 6 years his preparation, because he will finish the graduation by the age of 20, and he is not eligible to give the first attempt, and he will be having at least 1 year to further preparation. So no candidate can crack the civil service exam in the very year of preparation, in the very first year of preparation. Minimum you are supposed to give you have to spend at least 2 years for the preparation process. And in this process of preparation, first you need to understand the syllabus. After understanding the syllabus, many people will bombard you with extraordinary things, saying that civil's preparation is not a simple thing, it is an extraordinary thing, only the intellectuals can do this. But all those things are out once you start the preparation. The very basic principles, even in the 3rd attempt or the 4th attempt, you will be studying the only NCERT books for the preliminary examination. What does it imply? It implies that your preparation is of the school standard only. The questions in the examination, prelims examination, 80% of the questions are based on the NCERT only. When 80% of the questions are based on the NCERT, very much meaning is that it is based on the school standards. When you have completed your school standard, why again you are studying the school examination? The same kind of school textbooks is because you were missing a kind of conceptual understanding. I'm not saying conceptual analysis, conceptual understanding is missing in your school. Therefore, now we are getting that conceptual understanding. So, whatever the principles of study that you have followed in your school should be followed in the UPSC preparation also. Principles of preparation in the school are learning by rote and by heart. These are the two things that you have done in the school level preparation. The same thing UPSC is also expecting from the candidate. Learning by rote and by hearting the things. Only these are the two things. What is that learning by rote? That is, if something you did not understood, you just keep remembering that thing by repeatedly reading that thing. Is the learning by rote. So we learn the tables only by that process. In the school level, we learn the tables. We learn certain mathematical principles like a plus b whole square only by the rote method in the beginning. And many people, even today, even after 20 years of their education, will not even understand why a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. Without understanding that particular formula, we have learned it by rote, and that still we remember it. UPSC is also expecting you to remember the things first. Then learning by heart. Generally, we misunderstand the meaning of the learning by heart. So we misunderstand that learning by heart means learning by rote. Learning by rote is different without understanding what is the subject. Learning by heart is different. By heart means, what is the spelling of the by heart? B-Y-H-E-A-R-T, not H-E-A-R-D. If it is H-E-A-R-D, it would be rote. The meaning would be rote. If it is H-E-A-R-T, it would be by your heart. What is by your heart? You like the subject. When you are liking the subject, when you are reading the subject, you remember it for your lifetime. So both the types of learning is required even in the UPSC exam also, because the UPSC in a way is a kind of University Public Service Commission, not exclusively Union Public Service Commission. Why I am saying this to be University Public Service Commission? Because the syllabus is set by the university professors. Around 150 universities in this country are being listed out by the UPSC as the primary universities, and the professors from those universities will be called upon by the UPSC for doing all these activities, to set the syllabus, to set the question paper, to design the question bank for the prelims exam. Even there will be a question bank. Out of this question bank, different levels of the questions are being given, and to 3 different levels of questions. Easy questions 33%, difficult questions another 33%, and complicated questions another 33%. So the question bank will be formulated in these 3 levels, and by randomly the UPSC will pick up these questions from out of this question bank only. So the question bank is prepared by the university professors. Then the key will be set by the university professors. Paper valuation is also set by the university professors. What the university professors will expect from the candidate? University professor will expect from the candidate only to learn the subject, reproduce the subject in the exam. That's all. If you are given a question like, what are the powers and functions of the president? Explain in the context of 128th Amendment Bill. Explain in the context of 128th Amendment Bill. So there is a combination of 2 things. One combination is saying that, one part of the question is saying that what are the powers of the president, is a static part. Explain in the context of 128th Amendment Bill is a dynamic part. So what are the aspects of the first part you have to write to the point according to the requirements of the second part. The requirement of the second part is 128th Amendment Bill, which is related to the reservation to the woman and whether it is approved by the president or not. And with reference to that particular point, generalizing the powers of the president, specifically mentioning the powers of the president in relation to approval of a bill. So that is how the questions will be given. So unless you have by-hearted or unless you have learned it by rote, you cannot reproduce the powers of the president. You should know what is actually the presidential powers are. Or you may be given a question like, what is right to privacy? Explain in the context of DPDP Act. So is a question that may be given in the coming examination. Because the DPDP Act is being enacted in 2012 2023, August 11th. And that is directly or indirectly connected with the privacy of the individual. Right to privacy, you learn in the fundamental subject, basic static subject. Right to privacy is a theory of non-intervention by the state. Supreme Court in the Puttaswamy case identified right to privacy as a fundamental right. In the earlier judgments in 1954 and 1962, that the Supreme Court has declared that the right to privacy is not a fundamental right. Privacy includes the privacy of the women, privacy of the children. That is the scope of this question. Then it should be explained in the context of DPDP Act. What is the DPDP Act? In the context of Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Right to privacy is being recognized as a legislative statutory right. Right to privacy is being recognized as a statutory right, even if it is in the digital format. Even if this law is in the digital format, if the data is in the digital format, privacy must be maintained. So any breach of this law would result in breach of law means if your data is not maintained in a privacy, not maintained in a secrecy by the digital fiduciary. Digital fiduciary means the person, the agency that is maintaining your data. Suppose a e-commerce website like Amazon is a digital fiduciary. You are giving your data to that. And if that company fails to maintain your data secretly, that will be imposed with a fine up to rupees 250 crores rupees. Up to 250 crore rupees fine can be imposed on the digital fiduciary if it failed to protect the data of the digital principal. These terms also must be mentioned. Who is the digital principal? The person whose data is being given to the digital fiduciary. Fiduciary is the one who has to protect your data, who has taken your data to provide you some goods and services. So that fundamental static concept of privacy is given, as well as this contemporary issue of DPDP Act is linked to that. You are supposed to learn both the things. So you are supposed to by heart the things on one hand and apply the things on the other hand. So what you have learned in your school level, the same procedure should be followed even here also. If in a school, in a particular school, if some students are getting the top ranks, how they are getting the top ranks in a school or a college like a Sri Chaitanya College, how they are able to get the higher ranks, top ranks in the country every time, every year, is because they are getting their children, getting their students learn by rote and learn by heart. They are the only two secret principles. Forget about the IIT and the MSET and NEET. Take the example of any candidate who is getting the top 10 ranks in the civil service exam. All those candidates who is not even 10 ranks, all the 800 ranks or 1000 ranks, every candidate is learning by rote, learning by heart only, not beyond this. Without remembering, without memorizing the information, you cannot reproduce the information. UPSC is expecting you to reproduce what we have learned. You may read 100 books, but you present the answer in the examination from only that book you have read for the first time. You will forget everything. All the information that you have learned from the 100 books you will forget. You remember only the first book. Remaining all of the 99 books you cannot remember in that hot seat when you are sitting in the examination hall. So in the examination hall, UPSC is giving importance only to the content based on the quantity, not quality. You always talk about the content. And the content will contain only the quantitative element, but not a qualitative element. What is that quantity that the UPSC is insisting on? Quantity means numbers. The love for the numbers UPSC is always having. What is the love for the numbers that the UPSC is having? You have to write 9 exams. That is the first number. 9 papers in the mains, 2 papers in the prelims. That is the first number. Second number. Preliminary exam, 100 questions, 100 marks, 200 marks. Then mains, in the mains, 3 hours, another number. 20 questions, another number. 10 questions of 10 marks, another 10 questions of 15 marks, another number. 10 marks questions should be written in 150 words. UPSC is mentioning another number. 15 marks question should be written in the 250 words, another number mentioned. General essay, if you take the general essay also, answer any 2 questions from the given 2 sections, selecting at least 1 question from each section. And each question should be answered in 800 words to 1200 words, another number. The UPSC is always playing a number game only, but we are misunderstanding the UPSC in decoding what the UPSC is expecting from us. UPSC is expecting you to reproduce whatever that you have studied across 3 years in 3 hours. So can you say that I have studied the 3 years of 3 years for the examination and I will write it for the 30 hours? You are supposed to answer the questions for all the 9 papers for 27 hours, but not the same paper for 30 hours. And within this 3 hours of the examination, each question should be written in 6 to 7 minutes only, another number. Suppose if you are thoroughly preparing for something like, as I told you, that the DPDP Act, or Russia and Ukraine war, or Hamas-Israel war, you have thoroughly studied. And can you say that I can write this particular topic if the question is given in the international relations? And can you say that I can write this topic for 3000 words? UPSC will not restrict you. You can write the answer in 3000 words. But you have to miss out 19 questions. How many marks you will be given? You will be given only 5 marks, even if you have written the answer in 3000 words. So instead of writing an answer so eloquently and extensively, you are supposed to present the answer in a brief manner. That is the fundamental quality of a civil servant. A civil servant is supposed to know the things in a brevity, to present the things in a brevity, in a summarized format, because you are supposed to be the servant of the minister, the secretary to the minister. When you are secretary to the minister will not have the time to study all the things that you have presented. So you have to develop a huge file. You prepare a huge file of 1000 pages. And finally, the minister will sign on the dotted lines given by you in the format of a government order, which is of only 1 page. But to produce this 1 page, your preparation will be 3000 pages. So the same thing happens here also. Instead of preparing 3000 pages, what I recommend you is read 1 book for 100 times. Lakshmikant, Indian Polity, read as many number of possible times as you can. As many number of possible times as you can. Instead of that, don't go after every new book published on the Indian polity. Suppose earlier when initially people used to read the introduction to the Indian Constitution by D.D. Basu, our constitutions by Subhash Kashyap, our parliament by Subhash Kashyap, and any other textbook that they come across. But all these things are missed according to the requirements of the UPSC. So you may read any number of books. If you read so many number of books, you will become a professor in that subject, but not an IAS officer. So if you are having any intention to be, a kind of teacher or a professor or a faculty, then you read so many number of books. If you wanted to crack IAS, the purpose with which you are here, then read only 1 book, that too several number of times. So a mentorship is required to strengthen your self-preparation skills, to improve post-preparation skills. There are 2 kinds of candidates: those who make the self-preparation, and then there are people who prepare in by attending a classroom, either online or offline classes. So both these people will be requiring this mentorship, because your self-preparation will require some direction. And post-preparation, after attending the classes, you have gained 1 year of experience. And after that also you need to have a proper direction towards a goal. And to deal with this ever-growing needs of the dynamics of the UPSC exam. As I told you that for the past 5 years, every year a new type of question is being given. In 2022, they have introduced non-elimination MCQs. only 8 questions were given, that too only in the history and geography. But in the 2023 prelims paper, there are as many as 24 questions, non-enumeratable questions are 24. And they are connected with every subject, polity, economy, history, geography, all the subjects, the non-enumeratable questions are given. So there may be several questions next year based on the case studies also in the prelims. You may be given a situation. Based on the situation, you will be asked to identify the possible alternatives. Even that type of questions may also be given, because this question paper seems to be similar to IIT question paper in the base. So in the IIT entrance exam, these type of questions used to be given, and similar to that for the civil services also, type of questions may be prepared by the examiner, because the UPSC professor who is giving the questions wanted to prove their mettle before the UPSC chairman. So therefore, they wanted to come up with every time new type of questions, even that may test your personality also in the general studies paper. Even to test your personality, they may give the questions next year in the general studies paper, which are generally given in the psychological tests administered for the recruitment of the army in the USA. Psychometric tests, which are called as the psychometric tests. So these psychometric type of tests may be applied to the economy, or may be applied to the polity, or may be applied to the environment. So based on your psychometric analysis, your attitude towards the environment will be tested. Your attitude towards the vulnerable sections will be tested with reference to the polity. Your attitude and aptitude towards the economy will be tested by applying the psychometric tests. So one has to be ready for anything. And this mentorship is also necessary to share the anubhav of the mentor to the mentee. Mentor is the teacher, mentee is the student. What is this anubhav? Specifically, instead of the word experience, I have used this word anubhav, because the government of India has used this word anubhav in the administration of the Central Secretariat. In the year 2022, the Central Secretariat, the central government has introduced this concept of anubhav. And what is that anubhav? The retired employees of the government are reinfused into the services to act as a mentor for the newly joined employees, to guide the newly joined employees. So this anubhav means experience. The experience of the retired employee will be useful for the new entrant. Even at the collectorate level also, this anubhav scheme is already there. But the word anubhav and the term anubhav is adopted now. Suppose in the collectorate, there are assistant collectors. What the assistant collectors will be doing? The assistant collector will be learning the subject administration from the collector. Who are these assistant collectors? The assistant collectors are those people who have completed 9 months of institutional training in Mussoorie and came for after 9 months they come for the field level training, and in the field level training they will be posted in the district and they will be required to report to the collector. The collector will act as a mentor for them and will allot certain works to them. They learn 8 months of service. In their 8 months of initial service, they will be learning the administrative tasks. So this concept of anubhav is nothing but the mentorship in the Central Secretariat. So the experience of the seniors would be useful to the junior employees. And the same approach we adopt here. And to attract the pool of hard-working and smart-working aspirants who can produce the results. Because ultimately, when we are preparing for the civil services, objective is to produce the result. We have to clear the exam. And when the organization, when the institution is giving you the training, objective is to help you, to support you to crack the services. And it is also necessary engaging for emerging. Engaging for emerging means as a ranker. You should be engaged in the preparation. One mistake that the candidates, senior candidates particularly, senior candidates would be doing is, after the prelims exam, within 45 days in the recent times, they are giving the results. Once the results are out, if they could not clear the prelims, they stop the preparation for 6 months. Again, These sleeper cells will get activated only in the month of February, just before 3 to 4 months of the preliminary examination. For these 6 to 7 months, they remain as a mute person. They stop the preparation. That should not be the criteria, because you should be continuously preparing. You should be continuously engaged in the process of your preparation, even immediately after the preliminary exam. Soon after the preliminary exam, your preparation should be continued. You have to be ruthless with your preparation. You should be cruel with yourself only. You should not be cruel with other people. You should be cruel with yourself. Cruelty towards yourself means you should not excuse yourself at any point of time. Every time you should punish yourself with the preparation only. Because relaxation from the preparation you consider to be something appraisal. Something like a prize, but it should not be a prize. You should not take the prize till you crack it. You should take only punishments in the form of preparation. Preparation itself is your appreciation. So if you continue the preparation soon after the prelims or soon after the prelims results again, then you will be a serious aspirant. Otherwise, you are not a serious aspirant. And this is known as the engaging for emerging as a victor. Then another need is for accountable preparation. In the school level, you would be verified whether you are preparing or not. Your teacher will verify, your parents will verify, but at this level, nobody is verifying you. So this accountability should be infused in you. How this accountability will be infused? Infusing the accountability depend upon taking some targets, fulfilling those targets on a daily basis. Daily preparation targets should be given. I will give you daily preparation targets on a weekly basis. Then you are supposed to follow those targets on a day-to-day basis. Every time you have to, every day before going to bed, you should inform me whether you have completed the day's target or not. This accountability is self-accountability, not externally infused accountability. Self-accountability means if you are matured enough, you will be accountable to yourself, and you will show the account to somebody else also, who is your mentor. Then for diversity in the preparation also, this mentorship is necessary. Diversity in the preparation means your preparation would be going in one direction. And when there is a mentor, there would be a diversity in the preparation, because the mentor would be studying various things from across various sources. So these guidelines will be given. For that diversity purpose in the preparation, it is necessary. So as a mentee, what you are expected to do? As a mentee, you are expected to make some sacrifices. Not all the sacrifices, but only a few sacrifices are necessary, like reducing the use of the social media. I don't ask you to stop using the social media like a school child. You are supposed to use the social media, and you cannot avoid the use of social media, because your preparation is also based on the social media. Telegram, WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Twitter, anything, or YouTube. Because they should be used by the candidate, but candidate should not be used by that social media. What is the difference? If you are using the social media, if you are using the technology for your benefit, you are using the technology. If the technology is using you for its benefit, that is using you. That is dangerous. Technology should not use you. You should use the technology. So if the technology started using you, then it will eat away entire time. You should be cruel in your preparation, even with respect to this aspect also. And such sacrifices have to be done. Suppose if you are habituated, if one of your hobbies is watching movies, I don't tell you to stop watching the movies, but I will advise you to watch the movies once in a time, once in a month, or once in a fortnight, not very frequently. So that you should minimize such certain habits, including if you have a smoking habit. I don't ask you to stop your smoking habit. It is impractical to advise you on those lines. But reduce your smoking habit. And these days I have also observed that some people are also habituated to this weed also. Weed habit is also very much there among so many candidates, and avoid that if possible. Avoid that completely. And as I told you already, fit into the requirements of the schedule. I will give you a schedule. You have to fit yourself according to the requirement of that schedule. Then by heart the targets. So schedule will have certain targets, and those targets have to be by hearted. And you should learn those targets. Then similarly practice a few areas to be learned by heart also, where you are not definitely in a position to learn the things that has to be learned by rote. And practice the questions both for the prelims as well as the mains. Prelims questions and mains questions should be practiced. And you are supposed to do the networking as well. What is that networking? Networking is not about the internet. Networking is about creating the groups, study groups. So networking is about the network with other serious aspirants who are having the above qualities. Those who are ruthless about their preparation. You should be creating the study groups only with those candidates who are ruthless and cruel about their preparation, not others. Because if you enter into a study group with any other non-serious candidate, then your preparation will be killed completely. Don't get your preparation killed by someone else. If you want to kill your preparation, that should be done by you, not others. Otherwise, you will repent after some times. So therefore, network only with those candidates who are having the same characters like you. If you are a serious aspirant, you will be entering into a network with serious aspirant. If you are a non-serious, the same thing will be reflected in your network also. Then two sets of 3 R's. That is, read, record and revise. One set of 3 R. Read. Whatever you read should be recorded. That means you have to make the notes of it. If possible, read louder. Generally, as civil service aspirants, you would be reading the things silently. But if possible, if you are reading in your room, if you are alone, read louder. And when you are reading louder, record it in a mobile phone. Record it in a mobile phone. So that what happens is, when this record is available with you, when you go to bed, keep this record on, play it, and silently at a lower level volume. And if you are sleeping, your subconscious mind will silently collecting this information when it is reread, when it is being replayed in the mobile phone. So that is one technique of memory, improving the memory. And revise it as many number of possible times. Revise, recollect and repeat. The same thing should be repeated again and again. So a good mentor, who is a good mentor, is a person who is having a seniority, experience, and a seasoned professional and a functionalist. What is this functionalism? Functionalism implies a person having a generalist knowledge with a professionalism, specialized knowledge. A person who is both specialist as well as having the specialized knowledge, generalist knowledge. Suppose a person, a mentor is the one who is specialist in the optional subject, in one of the optional subjects. Generalist in terms of other subjects, in all other subjects, minimum knowledge of all the subjects. What is the difference between generalist and a specialist? Generalist is the one who knows less and less about more and more. Specialist is the one who knows more and more about the less and less. More and more about less and less. Meaning, one subject, more knowledge, is a specialist. Minimum knowledge of all the subjects is a generalist. So, generalist is defined as the one who has less and less knowledge of more and more subjects. Specialist is the one who has more and more knowledge of less and less subjects. So, both the characters should be there for the mentor before you select any mentor. So, you should be having the communication skills, ability to communicate implies two things. One is effective convey of the content and making the other person to understand that content. So what is important? Merely making the things understanding is the job done by the faculty. Only making the things clear is the job done by the faculty. Mentor should do both the things. Give you a proper material as well as conveying that material is properly understood. And having the willingness to listen. When the mentee is having any issue of answer writing or understanding some concept, then the person has to clarify the things. The ability to help their mentees develop new skills and refine existing ones. Your static subject should be improved and contemporary issues should be understood. Then emotional intelligence. A mentor should have the emotional intelligence, which the term which generally we use with reference to the ethics paper. That is a fundamental knowledge of a fundamental quality of a leader and a mentor. That is, there are various levels of emotional intelligence. First level, you should have the supporting attitude. That supporting attitude is not adequate. Feeling the pain of the other person is also required. And then finally, showing the way to overcome the pain. So sympathy, empathy, and emotional intelligence. These are the three levels. If you have to tell them in the theoretical words, first a person, mentor should have the sympathy. Then the mentor should have the empathy for the empathetical consideration for the problems of the student. Understand their problems. Feel the pain of their problems. Then finally, he should also tell them how to overcome that problem. That person is an emotionally intelligent person. Then a positive outlook and a love for their profession. The one who loves the profession and passionate about the job. A job, mentorship job is not merely doing the things for the sake of the money or sake of the job satisfaction or something else. It is more than job satisfaction. It is all about the passion about the job. So, suppose in our academy we have the various levels of mentors, including the peer mentor. One among you should act as a mentor. If you have, we create a network among you. If you have any doubt, if you post it in the network, then any person, any other student would be giving the clarification. Then next level, there will be a senior mentor. So senior mentor will be like a person like Anil sir. And there is a chief mentor like Bhavani sir. And there is a personal mentor who will personally interact with you. And so on a regular basis, I will be interacting with you. So these are the things that I wanted to convey about the mentorship, and from how we do it, and how we do it is that we do it in a manner of creating certain targets, providing you some target activity. So what are those target activities that we wanted to give you as a part of this process? So we have a schedule for the mentorship, like which would be starting from the 14th of this month. On every Saturday and Sunday, So you will be having several targets will be given on a weekly basis that you have to fulfill on every Saturday and Sunday. So on every Saturday, there will be a test on main syllabus. A specific syllabus will be given. Then on every Sunday, there will be a test on the prelim syllabus. And care will be taken to make sure that both the syllabus for the prelims and the mains are the same. Suppose from 14th of October to last week of the January, you will be given combined syllabus for the prelims and the mains. And after that, from the month of February to till the prelims exam in the month of May, second week of May, you will be given exclusive preliminary syllabus as the targets. And followed by, from the month of June to September first week, you will be given exclusive mains preparation targets. So for example, for the upcoming schedule on 14th and 15th, you will be given topics related to the polity, first part of the polity. Polity is divided into two sections. And governance are divided into two sections, because governance is there in the paper 2 as well as in the ethics paper also. So wherever there is any compatibility between the governance and ethics, those compatible areas will be given. And for example, in the polity section, first test, for the prelims, you will be having historical background, salient features, preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles, fundamental duties, then President of India, Prime Minister of India, Council of Ministers. And related to those areas, main syllabus will also be given, like Indian Constitution, in historical underpinnings, evolution, features, amendments, significance, provisions and basic structure, the first unit in the syllabus. And also the second unit, functions and responsibilities of the union and state governments. Then separation of powers between the various organs, comparison of Indian Constitution with that of other countries. So these 4 units will be given in the first chapter, first test on Saturday. On every Saturday, you will be having the mains related test, and every Sunday you will be having the prelims related test. And along with this, you are also supposed to prepare for the current affairs as well. So every week there would be a specific target of the current affairs based on PIB, mostly PIB. Like in the first test, you have to prepare for the current affairs related to the 2023 January. Then in the second test, suppose February 2023 current affairs, because till 2024 March, your preparation should be there with reference to the current affairs. So on a monthly basis, initially we have to, up to the January level, we have to prepare on a monthly basis. After January examination, from the February month, your preparation should be based on the subject-oriented current affairs. Subject-oriented current affairs means polity-related current affairs, governance-oriented current affairs, S&T current affairs in the economy, like budget or economic survey, on those lines. So subject-oriented current affairs from February. Month-wise current affairs from the PIB from 2023 January to 2023 March. And so, and in addition to this, from the fourth week of the preparation, you will also be given CSAT paper. Because in these recent times, the candidates who are clearing the general studies could not able to clear CSAT. Particularly the candidates from the non-maths background, including the engineering students. Even engineering students are not able to clear all the questions related to the CSAT. So some CSAT practice is also given along with the current affairs. Particularly when you are answering the questions related to the mains in the ethics paper. Suppose in the fourth test you have ethics test. So ethics is completely only mains oriented. So at that point we will be given CSAT preliminary exam. The prelims related syllabus will be given. So both GS and the CSAT would be equally emphasized in the entire process of preparation, along with the Yojana magazine also supposed to be prepared. Because even in the 13th exam, you'll be given, from the 13th exam, you'll be given Yojana magazine also with reference to related areas. Something like maritime, artificial intelligence. Suppose when you have to, when you are preparing for the science and technology, there is a dedicated magazine from the Yojana related to the artificial intelligence. All the topics with all the articles in the Yojana are based on the artificial intelligence only. And you have to make a proper reading of this articles in the Yojana, because the examiner has the tendency to give the questions from the Yojana also. Why Yojana only? Why not others? Because this is a government publication. PIB is a government publication. Yojana is a government publication. So therefore, these are the areas that you have to be thorough with. So on those lines, at least before the exclusive prelims practice is begun, we will be having between the 14th October to 28th January, we'll be having 15 sessions, 15 weeks. So across these 15 weeks, we have classified the syllabus analysis into several parts of polity, polity 2, economy 2, geography 2, history 3. On those lines, we have classified the procedure for testing the candidates, to guide the candidates. So from 4th February to around 5th May, you will be having exclusive prelims procedure of preparation. And after the prelims, from the June 9th to September 8th, you will be having on a weekly basis mains preparation strategy. So this would be given to you. This handout is also given to you about the preparation aspect. So that is how we deal with the mentorship of the civil service exam.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I think Sir has elaborated you all the nitty-gritties of how the mentorship would about to proceed. So, schedule explain chesara, sir. Or the schedule, the day-wise weekly schedule and all. So, what we are going to do is the same schedule will be forwarded to you, which is about to start from 14th of October on a weekly basis. On the same component of the syllabus which is given to you for that particular week, you will be writing a prelims test and mains test on every Saturday and Sundays. So that your progress will be evaluated on a weekly basis. Like once in a weekly, sir will have one-to-one interaction with all of you. Your progress will be monitored by sir individually. And your, like, every subject could not be of the same strength for every one of us. Some subjects we might be very good at our accuracy levels, or the kind of answer writing skill that we present with respect to few components would be immensely at top-notch level compared to some other subjects. So the key components where you have to focus in order to improve your accuracy with respect to prelims and with respect to answer writing sessions across all 4 papers, how you can further improve by incorporating various commissions, recommendations, some stats, factual information, or anything of such sort, which gives you an extra edge of 1 or 2 marks, will be suggested to you on weekly basis by both sir and other mentors like me and whoever is available on weekly basis. That will be happening. Apart from that also, like, if you have any doubts, any current affairs components which have been in news, and the potential questions with respect to all those components will be thoroughly assessed by our R&D team, and questions in synchronous with the demand of UPSC exams will be aligned and will be prepared by us, so that you can be at little more advantageous position when you attempt the rest of the examinations as well. So this is what it happens. If you have any personal doubts or with respect to preparation or with respect to any component of the examination, you can directly ping me as well. I'll forward it to sir, and we can have a one-to-one interaction whenever possible. All your doubts, like, our assurance is that we will be there for the next 1 year. for your prelims, for your mains. That is what we are assuring from our end. So if you could religiously follow this without any fail, definitely you'll be in the other side. That is what our plan of mentorship is all about. I think everything is clear. If you have anything else, we can talk about it personally. All right. Thank you.